What's going on? It's your boy Tunnel Vision. We back for another one. Ooh, someone's getting emotional. Someone is starting to get emotional. Somebody's starting to be affected by the things that are being said when it comes to the moves that he's making. And that person is definitely Terrence Crawford, and clearly those around him as well. I guess he was on a live with him. I think it's his brother. I don't know if it's just somebody that's been around him for a long time. I don't know if it's like his blood brother, but it's somebody definitely that's known him for a very, very long time. And they kind of try to go at all the PBC fighters and all those that are fighting on PBC at the present time. Um, the guy says that he's a boxing historian. I'm a boxing historian, so I know about the game. I know about the game. And he brings up all different PBC fighters. He brings up Mikey Garcia, and he says that Mikey Garcia, he ducked Lomachenko, and he talks about how he ducked Gamboa, and about how he doesn't want it, this and that. But Mikey Garcia was with Top Rank, while you were with Top Rank. That's a fight that your promoter couldn't get done. And as far as when it comes to Gamboa, Mikey Garcia was willing to fight Gamboa. What he didn't want to do was sign an extension. And what they were trying to, Top Rank was trying to do was put an extension in that fight, and they would not get off of that. He didn't want to sign that. So he's somebody that, grabbed his nuts, stood as his own two, and said, nah, you're not playing me like a sucker. You're not doing that. You're not going to play me like a sucker. Okay? Not to mention, he was set on flat fees for what he could get paid over there as well. So he said, no, I'll fight him, but I'm not signing an extension. Top Rank wouldn't get off of that. So he sat out for over 2 years and did what he needed to do, stood in his own two, grabbed his nuts, and handled his business like a man in order to get out of that contract. And clearly after that has gone on to greater pastures. As far as said he dunked Lomachenko, Mikey didn't duck Lomachenko. You can go see it. They had on even on ESPN. He was on ESPN. He met up with Lomachenko. Lomachenko was there. I guess they were there at the same time, and told him that you're a great champion. I'm a great champion, and we should fight. And they try to talk to their people about setting it up. And they said that the Top Rank matchmaker said no, that's too risky. That they're not going to do that particular fight. And Bob Arum had come out himself and said, I'm not going to negotiate with Mikey Garcia. I'll give him one offer, and if he doesn't like it, then F him, because I'm not going to negotiate with him. That's what he said. No Mikey versus Lomachenko talk came from the Top Rank side until Mikey Garcia was already setting up a fight with Earl Spence. And clearly, boxing is a small circle, so they knew about that. And, that's when they started talking. Oh, we want Mikey, knowing that pretty much that fight was already set. That's the only reason they started talking like that. So after that, he goes on to, starts talking about Danny Garcia, trying to try, who's Danny Garcia? He got beat up by Herrera, blah, 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 blah. Well, Danny Garcia is somebody that, to beat Lucas Matisse when he was somebody. He beat Amir Khan when he was somebody at 140, and then came up to 147 pounds and became a champion at 147 pounds as well. Fighting Keith Thurman and Sean Porter to, I think, were they both split decisions? One of them might have been in the majority decision. But I know definitely the other one was a. I think they both were split decisions. So he might have lost, but he gave a good account of himself. And those 4 fighters that he faced, pretty much besides Gamboa, they all would be favored against every single fighter Terrence Crawford has ever fought. Every single one of them. So yeah, that's what Danny Garcia is. But they try to kind of trash, Danny Garcia, kind of basically saying that he's a nobody and he doesn't really want to fight. He doesn't really want the fight, even though he said, I'll do that fight as long as you pay me right. When it came to Sean Porter, they basically said, hey, well, when Sean Porter had a belt, he didn't want to fight us. No one was talking about him fighting us when he had a belt. So because supposedly he didn't do that, he went and fought. When he had a belt, he went and fought Earl Spence instead. I mean, why wouldn't he fight Earl Spence instead? Earl Spence is just fighting the same level as you or higher. And it's on his own side where he doesn't have to deal with the BS. We have to work with a network that actually promotes their fighters, and he did very well on pay-per-view, and right now made a good account of himself and put himself into a space where he's a perfect fight for you. Right now, coming off that bout that he just did with Earl Spence, he's a perfect opponent for you. You put him on you put him on ESPN, you promote that, right? That fight does 300,000 plus pay-per-views if you promote it like Fox does. Because he lost nothing from that Earl Spence fight. He just showed how much of a dog that he is. You know, it's hard to talk about Manny Pacquiao, oh, never wanted to fight him as well. But again, Mr. Historian, you know, Bob Arum had said himself that he's the one who shut that fight down. You know, Terrence Crawford himself is on YouTube videos during that time talking about how Manny Pacquiao was pricing himself out, like, oh, Manny wants too much money. Because Manny wanted $20 million in order to fight him. The same money he got he ended up getting for Broner and for Keith Thurman. That's what he wanted. He wanted $20 million, and he was willing to fight Terrence Crawford. Your promoter decided to not pay him that money. Your promoter decided to supposedly shut the fight down. You know, your promoter said it was going to cost him money if he set up that fight. So that's, again, it's on your promoter. So, you know, Mr. Historian should know that as well. He should know that as well. You know, so, and then they go for that and talking about how they want only belts. You know, so they couldn't get all the PBC fighters, and you can't get anybody from PBC. That's where the whole PBC protector thing came from, because he couldn't get any, you know, they couldn't get any fights at PBC. You know, but now somehow it went from, you know, wanting to fight the best, because these are the best, you know, in the world. These are the best fighters. It went from that to now, oh, we only want belts. We only want belts. We only want belts. We only want belts. Then somehow he starts talking about how, oh, they fought all these lower tier PBC fighters. And they start naming all of them, like the Molina and the Diaz's. But then they say, oh, but when it comes to their top guys, we can't get their top guys. We can't get their top guys. And this is after you basically went down the line of certain people who said, yo, I want to fight you and Danny and Porter, and try to and slam them and bash them and talk about how they weren't good fights. And these are their top guys. These are the guys. Earl Spence fights Danny Garcia next, is going to be on pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? If Manny Pacquiao fights, let's say, a Sean Porter or Danny, it's going to be on pay-per-view. So yes, these are the top guys. These are guys who, you know, the top guys fight against each other. They're going to be on pay-per-view. If Mikey and Danny Garcia fight, that's going to be on pay-per-view. And, you know, he went from talking about, you know, downing them to then all of us now talking about how they can't get the fights. They can't get the fights. Then he made the mistake of going into Bradley and talk about, they want to talk junk about Bradley. You know, they want to talk all this about Bradley. And Bradley said, well, you know, we're begging, like, yeah, we want the fights. Yeah, we want all the fights. And I think he kind of understood a little bit that he kind of is contradicting himself a lot. So that's when I was like, well, I mean, we'll take Sean Porter. I mean, but that's all you got? That's all you got? That's all you got? Then y'all want to talk about the money. Forget the money. We just want legacy fights. Forget the money. We just want legacy fights. You know, but these are the same people when Earl Spence was like, nah, it's the 60-40. You guys were talking about how, you know, nah, it's 50-50. It's 50. Well, I'm the A side. It's not about the money. It's not all about that. But then you're talking about 50-50 splits. You know, then he goes on a huge rant about all the YouTubers and the things that they say. And man, you better be happy for YouTubers. If it wasn't for YouTubers, no one would be talking about you. No one would be mentioning your name. Okay? And if supposedly they're just this and that, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. You know, clearly they are getting to you. The truth is getting to you. The reality of what you're doing, and understanding that people now know exactly where you stand, you know, and you know, according and are reacting accordingly, is now getting you upset. But man, if it wasn't for these YouTubers, no one would talk about you, because ESPN doesn't promote you. Your promoter doesn't promote you. Bob Arum doesn't promote you. Top Rank doesn't promote you. You know, so if it wasn't for those YouTubers, no one would be talking about you. Nobody. It'd be silent. You know, it'd be silent. And your numbers are already suffering. Your numbers when it comes to viewership's already dropping. When it comes to people going to your fights, that's already dropping. You know, so understand that. But what does the future hold for Bud Crawford? Unfortunately, I believe all we're going to be seeing is him fighting lower tier fighters, and we're going to be seeing lower tier fighters for a while. Because he keeps on talking about Spence, but the reality is, if you really wanted Spence, you know, it's like war. You know what I'm saying? It's like basically it's playing chess when it comes to this boxing thing. And what you would do is you try to cut out, you want this guy, so you know what you do, you cut out his options. And two of his options are saying that, yo, yes, we'll fight you. And when it comes to the Danny Garcia, it's not about money, right? So you should be able to get Danny whatever he wants in order to make that fight happen. It should be no issue also setting up a fight with Sean Porter. Neither one of those guys. Or you should be saying like, hey, I'm willing to take whatever from Manny Pacquiao or Earl Spence and come over to PBC and fight then. On Fox and just fight then. If supposedly it has nothing to do with the money as well. Which is ironic because it's not about money, but when you had a belt and Earl Spence had a belt and it was a 50-50 fight and Earl Spence was down to do the fight, you and Bob Arum shut that down and said, nah, you're not going to do it until it's a 500,000 pay-per-view fight or more. But it's not about money. But again, this would be chess. This is chess. So if you really wanted that fight, like, all right, I'm going to take out his options. I'm going to take out Sean Porter. I'm going to offer Danny Garcia. I'm going to take out Danny Garcia. So then if he can't fight Manny, who has he got to fight after that? There's no one else left except for me if he can't get Manny, but that's not what he's doing. So at this point, me personally, it's not a popular opinion, but 2020, I personally believe that Earl Spence fight gets offered to Bud Crawford. I don't believe his side is taking that. And it's not because I believe he's scared, but I believe because his promoters are going to say, nah, this is not the time to do that fight. And he's going to listen to him. But we'll see what 2020 is going to be a crazy year, man. It's going to be crazy when it comes to boxing. And a lot of, we're going to see what people really about in 2020. You know what I'm saying? The reality is starting to come when it comes to certain fighters, But one thing's for sure, this whole PBC fighters don't want to fight Bud thing that's what's going on in 2019, that thing is dead and it's over. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.